Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Nicolette Amarillas. I'm an exercise coach and a posture and movement specialist. Today I want to go over one of my favorite ab exercises to do, weighted with a stability ball or a Swiss ball, whatever you want to call it. I've never known the difference between the two. If you know, tell me. Anyway, we're doing a stability ball crunch with the cable machine. Today I'll be utilizing tonal, but of course you could use any cable machine. There are variations to use a dumbbell as well, but this one is specific to using a cable machine. Let's dive in. So the most important part about this exercise is making sure you're set up in the right place based on where the anchor point of where the weight is coming from. It's normal, to be honest, to have to adjust the first couple of reps. No matter how many times I do this exercise in the same place that I always do this exercise, I always seem to have to adjust a little bit based on where the weight is pulling me from. Essentially, we're gonna be putting the rope over the shoulders, like right at the base of the chin, and using the weight coming from behind us while we're lying on the ball to do a crunch. So you'll kind of see how placement of your body really plays a major role and why you might need to adjust as you get into the first couple of reps. Before I grab tonal, let me just show you our body position just to make sure you're comfortable with that. So you're gonna roll down until basically your hips are slightly dipping down. Now this all depends on how big your ball is. Mine is just big enough that my thighs can pretty much be parallel with the floor with my hips dipping down a little bit. This puts extension in my spine, which is what we want, and then you can still reach your head all the way back. We're looking for this extended position because when we're doing an upper abdominal crunch, we want to go from extension and up into flexion. That creates more range of motion and more work in that muscle group being the upper abdominals. So this is the range of motion we're looking for and just the general movement pattern. We're gonna be coming up and driving the elbows basically down toward the floor, engaging through the abs here. So right where the rib cage meets, we're looking to engage those muscles right up here. Not as much down here, although those are still working. The prime mover are these upper abdominals. The key is to be able to come into flexion and go all the way back into extension. So I like to be in position before and then grab the rope. I'll bring the rope right outside of my temple, so right outside of my ears or like right at my jaw, starting the movement from the bottom, so extending, so it's like we want to stretch the muscles right where the rib cage meets, and then we'll exhale to start the movement and come up to crunch. Now notice I'm lifting and flexing. I'm not coming up straight, but I'm actually thinking about driving my elbows down as my upper abdominals flex. When I come back, I'm looking for a nice big stretch in the front of the body and then working through that stretch. Now, this exercise can take getting used to as far as like understanding your range of motion and also making sure you feel it. But what's most important is knowing when you're fatigued. With this exercise, there is a pretty immediate feedback that you might get, which is when you get tired, you'll start feeling how difficult it is to go from extension here into a rounded spine. What I notice is when I get tired, I get to the bottom and then I'm like, it is really hard for me to come up. It's like my body wants to stay straight and my back cannot go into flexion. That tells me my upper abdominals are done. Look at, I'm shaking. I don't even have any weight on. That tells me my upper abdominals are done and can no longer support spinal flexion. Okay, then I like to set it down and I'll bring myself up and around to be able to drop it down. So I actually got pretty lucky on that set that I was able to figure out where to be placed without having to move around a ton. This exercise is great for the upper abdominals. Now, if you're someone who is challenged by a flexed spine, so let's say you're someone who works at a desk all the time, if you're gonna do this exercise, I really encourage you to also incorporate some type of extension, stretch, and mobilization. On my YouTube channel, and I'll link it below, is a horizontal thoracic mobilization. I highly recommend adding this in because if you're already in flexion, tight upper abdominals is only gonna pull you forward more. Now, it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It just means you wanna make sure to create some balance so that you're not only doing this, but you're also encouraging a straighter and more open spine. Any questions? Put them down below in the comments, and I hope to hear from you soon, and I hope to see you again.